build capacity, everyone wins. Is that not stability? I don't know. I think that's stability. In my view, that brings greater stability, greater growth, jobs. Our kids will have jobs. They won't leave the province anymore. To me, that's stability. That's growth. That's very positive.
And if I could just add, with the shortage of qualified labor, we have it from our research that shows business owners are turning away opportunities because they can't fill the orders, they can't do the jobs. And I think we're at that point where if we aren't able to ramp up and welcome additional the CEPs and the CLACs to Saskatchewan, we'll be in that same position of not being able to finish that school or not being able to finish that hospital, those kinds of things. And I also think you have to look at it from a competitive perspective. The more players you have in the market, the better bang for the buck, either taxpayer or on a private sector job. So when you look at that, more competition in the bidding of major projects, when you look at all of the things that have been thrown out with respect to the de-skilling, the poor training, the lower wages, there is no evidence to show that in fact happens. We haven't seen that to date. And in fact, when you look at in the construction sector, the stats show very clearly that wages in fact have increased close to 30% in the last few years. And in a short labor market, when you're screaming for workers, they have the ability to walk across the street and find that employer that will provide the wages or the benefits and such. So it brings everyone up to a new level. And so many of these positions that have been put forward have been thrown out without any substantive evidence to show that in fact you will go. It'll not be a race to the bottom.
Yeah, I won't continue. I'll allow some of the other members to ask a question. But
thank you, Mr. Wanchuk. Mr. Yates, you're next.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, I think it is important in these hearings and during these submissions that we get to what the facts are. So I have some questions. There have been comments made several times, and when we asked then, like we asked as an example yesterday afternoon in the Progressive Construction Association, whether or not if they could come to this province today without CLAC, and yes, they could come, they could operate here, they could work here. They said their members could. When we asked if they came, whether their workers would come with them from Alberta and other provinces, the answer was no. There aren't people waiting at the border. They would have to hire within the same labor market pool we have today. So I hear all these statements, right? And we've had, but at the end of the day, we need to get down to what the facts are. I heard repeatedly about the Saunders case. So I got the Labor Relations Board cases and I read them myself. And the representation and what's in the actual decisions, I find out at the end of the decision dated April 27, 2009 that it stayed indefinitely. And the record shows me clearly that there are criteria here to deal with abandonment in the province of Saskatchewan already.
Can I answer them?
Sure.
Okay.
But
You've got two issues.
I need to get to the facts.
Sure. Well, you've got the facts. Whether we choose to accept them as a fact is your prerogative. With respect to the Progressive Construction Association, you called. I mean, I won't speak for what they said, but I know from what I'm hearing from CLAC and CEP is they can't be in the province. Now, can their workers come in the province? Yes, they can if they join the building trades. Yes, that's fine. But not if they're part of CLAC or CEP. No, they can't operate here. That I think is factual. And with respect to Saunders, I wouldn't use the word stayed. I think that there was a ruling to come down. But until that order has been decided, the order stands. And that's my understanding. And I'm not a lawyer, and Mr. Yates, you may know more about this than I do. But until a final decision is made by the Labor Relations Board, the original order is still there. And that is that they are unionized once again. They're paying back union dues for several years. That's the facts. Now, whether the current situation is going to change that, I don't know. There are some decisions that will be made in the future, but at the moment, the original order is still there.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, Section 47 of the decision signed on April 27, 2009, says the order made by the board on October 31st, 2008, which is the original decision, stating the effect of the board's decision on Labor Relations Board file number 01905 is continued until further order of the board.
Right.
So the board, if it never orders on it again, it stayed forever. And it may or may not ever
But
make a
that's not what I read
decision.
it. With the greatest respect, I don't read it that way. So they're going to look at it in the future. So they're saying for the moment it's stayed, but they're going to rule in the future. That's the point I'm making. It's a very point I'm making, Mr. Yates.
They may or may not. It's
Well,
again, it's an issue.
the point is the uncertainty of it, and in any case.
There is potential uncertainty of it.
Clearly.
But clearly, we're trying to change a law based on perhaps one very bad Labor Relations Board decision. If that's it, I think there's other ways to fix it. And I guess that's what some of the other presenters have indicated today. So my question really goes to this. I don't think there's anybody against or everybody knows and understands the need for more skilled workers. We want to I think everybody shares all the goals of building the province and expanding the economy and doing all the things that are good for the province. But if I look at decisions and reports looking after decisions are made going back some 25, 30 years in the construction industry, this being one that did a review, it's Richard Horning, Nick Scherz-Davidoff, Larry Seiferling, for the Minister of Labor in October 4th, 1985, talks about significant unintended consequences to changes made that people thought would do what we're trying to do today. And I would say very significant unintended consequences. It indicates in this report that wages and benefits of employees went down. Now, it was a different labor market environment. There's no doubt about that, and I think we all recognize that. And in a very tight labor market environment, in a growth environment, wages and benefits go up. They go up because of demand.
Right.
Not because of a desire of employers necessarily to be fair or unfair, because I'm not going to say that they're either. I'm just saying that the market forces wages up because there's competition. If that market were to change 6 months from now or a year from now, we could well be facing the same types of problems that were faced prior to 1984. One of the things that we've had in the presentations is a real lack of fact. And I say that because when I ask many times for people to provide background documentation to what statements are made, there's always information, there's research that goes with that. That's very helpful to the committee in the sense that we can then go look and read for ourselves, as an example, the Saunders case, and read the problems that were made in that decision and so on and so forth.
Right.
So moving forward, I have concerns, and I think maybe many members of the committee have concerns that over the last 30 years in the construction industry, we've made a number of decisions that were all intended, I think, to fix the problem and well-intended, that may have had not the outcomes that were intended in the decisions. And we need to make sure as we move forward we don't create another unintended outcome.
I'd agree with you, but I would say that in the past we've had labor legislation come in the construction trades that tried to fix a problem that didn't exist, and that's a problem today. So when you speak of, you made many points, so I can respond to just a few of them. We have not been asking this government, they have responded, to make a change on abandonment based on one case. It is not just Saunders. And you heard from PCL that was here this morning. There are several other companies that are, for varying reasons, caught in the trap of this. That's a huge concern. So it's not just Saunders. Saunders is the most immediate one. The most that's before the board is still there. You talked about the lack of facts. I note that some delegations are asked to provide information, background information, and others are not. And that seems to me that perhaps if it doesn't square the circle with the question, then you're asking for, give me proof with what you're saying. I say that anybody who comes as a delegation, where they say, I believe them at face value what they're saying. I can't provide the research assistance that your office can do and that the Legislative Assembly can provide for you. A call to the Workers' Compensation Board, a call over to the Labor Relations Board can provide that for you just probably quicker than I can do it. Will I provide you information on how I got to where I got to? Absolutely. If that compelling question is asked to every other delegation that's asked here, then yeah, fair is fair. But to portray what we say as not factual because